I feel like we're lying to people.
Like we're lying to people?
They keep saying next week.
Oh,
I know.
Well, yeah,
I know,
it's gonna come out week by week.
I know, but it just feels like we're
deal with it. This is how it goes. That's how the business goes.
I know what the lie of television is. So this is the wrestling philosophy episode.
Wrestling philosophy. Are you ready?
I still haven't
I'm putting your mentality to the test. This is where we learned about your history. We talked about how you learned everything, and now this is where it all. Who is Rob Miller, the wrestler? Who is the chainsaw? Who is Wolfman Rip Mystic?
Oh God, Wolfman Rip Mystic. He's nobody because it never worked. We never made a dime off. I never made a dime off Wolfman.
I don't think anybody.
Yeah, did anybody make a dime off? I mean, if I made a dime, it's somewhere else, some landlord.
I still have the dollar we got at that first. The first Soccer World show. I still have the dollar from that.
Yes, I spent mine.
I know a lot of people who did
on gum.
On gum.
My breath was bad.
Listen, you probably got more.
Actually,
enjoyment.
I don't think I got a real dollar.
I think you've gotten more enjoyment out of that dollar than I got out of mine, because mine went into a. I probably haven't seen mine. Like, I know where it is. I probably haven't seen it in 17 years.
Packed away somewhere.
Yeah, it's in a photo album.
I kept a lot of keepsakes like that. One of the things I didn't keep that I wish I did, though, was more of the articles, more than newspaper. Like, I kept tons of T-shirts, tons of videos and trinkets and this, that, and the other, but I never really kept much of the articles and stuff.
I've got the Illinois Times one.
Do you? Yeah. Hang on to that.
Yeah.
And then that insert we got in the state, we're going way down memory lane now. We're supposed to be talking about wrestling philosophy.
Well, let's get to it, Rip.
I know. Come on.
Philosophy. What is your wrestling philosophy?
Oh, if you suck, don't do it. Gosh. Seriously. Just stop sucking. Please.
This is going to be the shortest episode ever because I don't want to go past that. Thanks. We'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.
If you suck, don't do it.
Yeah. No, but seriously, I mean, look, we talked about my last little DDT thing in there, and it was fun, and I hope someday I'll be able to go in there and actually do a tag match or a match, something like that. But, and I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not saying anything, because this is for people. I should back up a little bit. If you're not going to take it serious, don't do it. And that's true of anything. And it sounds cliche when we say it, but I don't know if we've ever got it on video. And you got Brady to thank for this philosophy too. Wrestling does not have to be, what we say, your number one priority. But if it's not number 2 or 3, go do something else.
Right.
Because you have a better explanation on a hobby. A lot of guys will say it's their hobby. And I remember you explained it real well one time. You said, hey, man, if I got a hobby and it's painting model cars, I'm going to go get, a model car kit.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some model paint. I'm going to get the right brushes. I'm going to get, I'm going to get the magnifying glass, the light. I mean, you're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
You've got equipment. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
Yep. And so how much working out is the right amount? How much money to spend on gear is the right amount? How much time, if you're going to make your own stuff, is right? How much time do you spend on working out new moves and working? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
you know.
Yeah, but you personally know.
Yeah.
How much, and I'm not going to get hung up on bodies, how big you are, how small you are. I think if New Midwest did anything, it proved wrestling will take you. Nah, that's probably not. I'm not going to say wrestling will take you as serious as you take it.
I think, well, that's 100%
but
good way to say it.
But it's probably close.
Yeah.
If that's not 100% true, I mean,
yeah.
With anything else,
right.
I hate to sound so generic, but I mean, we saw it over and over again, and personally, I've taken it more serious than or not as serious as I probably should at times in my life.
Right.
I think everybody have. But in general, if we're just if the show's about wrestling and we're just talking about, just wrestling in general, I respect it too much, and it's too dangerous for anyone to just go in there and half-ass and think it's just like high school football, to think it's just like high school basketball, to think it's just like anything else.
My comparison is always like co-ed softball. Like if if we're gonna play, if you want to play a little get a little sporty and play play a little softball, play a little something kind of like baseball. You go to 4 seasons, whatever, you know what I mean, and you're doing that deal. Mm-hmm. Like your chances of getting hurt are infinitesimally small compared to wrestling. Mm-hmm. So like if that's your level of interest,
go play softball.
Go play softball.
Play co-ed softball. And everyone has their opinion, and you could point the finger at an older guy who maybe has a gut now, maybe he doesn't move as fast. When Undertaker's a good example. When should he hang it up? When should he not? Okay. The thing about Undertaker is he's put his time in.
Yeah.
He's put his effort in. He's earned the right to go out there and have people give him the benefit of the doubt if he wants to try.
Right.
Okay? There's too many guys that haven't earned that at all, or they haven't even had their first year in, and they're either not taking it serious enough, or they're not in good enough ring shape, or they're not doing what they need to do outside of the ring for whatever. I mean, you bring the whole thing down, and you don't have enough of that in the independent area, in the Midwest area that I've seen. Not that I get out a lot. You don't have enough guys doing that period in their own lives to make the shows. I mean, people want to come to a show where the performers are excited about doing the show.
Right.
And if you're only excited about the show because of the amount of people that are going to show up, you've already lost.
Yeah.
You've already got it backwards.
Absolutely.
And what are you doing it for?
Right.
I did wrestling long time for a lot of different reasons, but I always loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I was always having a good time with my friends, and the second it hurt more than it was fun,
right, then
I stopped doing it as much.
Yep.
And everybody's different. You still wrestle, but you haven't. You've been lucky, man. I don't even say lucky, but you're just good. You just come out of things unscathed. Even the accidents. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen things happen to you that if it happened to me, I'd still be laying there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just been, when the first time I ever seen a cable snap on that top, that was the scariest thing. I don't know if that's on. I don't know if that's on camera anywhere.
That was just that night of training.
The night of training. It was just you and me. We were in the. Was that the USA Sports Center?
I think that was still at the warehouse.
No,
not the warehouse. Like that was when we were still in the warehouse behind Walmart.
Oh, that's right, because it happened twice.
Mm-hmm. Once to Danger Doug, once to me.
I'm thinking about the second time. No, it happened to you twice, but I don't think you fell the first time. I think it just broke, because that was at Stockyard, and then I remember for sure at the America Centers when you did the backflip.
Yeah, okay.
Or not the America Center, but
USA
the
Sports
USA
Center.
Sports Centers where you did the backflip, and that was the one that was scary, because as soon as I think we just got done putting the ring back together after a show. It was just you and me, which that happened a lot, or it was you or me,
right,
which sucked too. But you hit the ropes, thing broke. You did a complete backflip, fell on your feet, and then fell on your butt, and I screamed. I screamed like a girl. I mean, I thought for sure you just did a Frankensteiner to yourself and broke your neck. I mean, it was that fast, that bad. Yeah. But you came out of it fine. Good. And see,
wasn't even hurt.
So a guy like you, if you get into your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, and you're still healthy and you're still doing it, they're not gonna ever expect you to show up with a 6-pack.
Right.
And you're not gonna catch any flack because you didn't.
Yeah.
But if you come out of the gate and you're half-assing it already, you got nowhere else to go but down.
Right.
I mean,
for sure.
I mean, I don't know. There's a balance somewhere. I'm not the guy to make the decision on it. I'm just saying it's out there and you figure it out.
I think you know. You know what I mean? I feel like you should know. And if you don't, that's the sign. You know, I think most, like, if you don't know if you're putting in enough, you're not. If you feel like you're putting in enough, but you're not getting what you want, you're not getting the return. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you need to take a good hard look in that mirror and be real honest with yourself. Like, why am I putting in this work and not getting anything out of it? You know, and maybe when you take that look, you're going to realize that maybe you're not putting in what you think you're putting in, what you pretend you're putting in.
Yeah.
You know, and if you just love it, you know what I mean? Like when you just love it and you just live in that, like, it feeds itself, right?
Yeah,
that's what I always found.
Loving something's enough.
Right.
It is. You know,
and it happens naturally. You know, when you love something, when you're really just loving this and feeding that love, you know, you're doing the things you need to do, and you're going to the gym. You know, you're going to the gym so that you can get stronger, so that you can be better in the ring. You're going to the gym so that you feel more confident in your tights. You're ordering tights and boots so that you have a professional look.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that stuff just and it compounds and it feeds itself. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with and it's that way. You know, you talked about it last week, kind of wrapping up, like, this is a life lesson. Not a a wrestling lesson.
Right.
This is another life lesson, not a wrestling lesson. You know, like, when you're doing the things you need to do, it feeds the passion.
Yeah.
When you love something and you're doing the right things for it, it feeds that. When you aren't and you're not getting fed, when you feel like whether you feel like I'm putting in the work or not, when you feel like I love this thing, but it's not giving back to me, you got to look and say, well, what's missing? Look at and the only place you can look is at yourself.
Right, and you're the only person that can answer it.
Yeah.
Also.
Yep.
And, you know, since we're on the subject of philosophies, I don't think that's a wrong way of looking at things. I mean, you know, I don't mean to get all life lessony. It's just that I don't wrestle.
It's the philosophy episode, Rob. That's what we're doing.
I don't wrestle anymore. So
right.
It's like, you know, I gotta make everything, you know, kind of the grand scheme of things. But the shows, none of us. I don't know how I want to say this, but the Stockyard days, the Soccer World days, USA Sports Center. We all wanted to be in the WWE. We all pretty much knew we weren't going to get there. Or if somebody was, it was only going to be maybe one.
Right.
I mean, because that's just the odds of it. But we didn't care.
Yeah.
We were so happy just to be involved in doing it that the shows reeked of it, and that's why people kept, that's why people kept buying tickets.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right about something you said before.
Oh, go ahead.
That the indie scene has a really good opportunity right now to maybe bring some of that back. And I think if you do find if a group of people or enough guys like that are involved, you'll see people start to gravitate. Because everything's been seen, everything's been done. It's all, people want something fresh. They just want people to be excited about something. Right. And there's nothing better than going to a wrestling show when the guys are excited to be doing it.
Yes.
Because that's a good show.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what New Midwest always had so much, is that we had such a tight-knit group of dudes that were all excited, and we fed each other. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's the thing that I've noticed. All the traveling I've done, everything like that. When you get to the promotions that are booked, grabbing all these guys that you think are, there's promoters that want to buy their own wrestling ticket, right? And so they go and they buy, they hire this guy because they like him, and they hire this guy because they like him, and then they hire a handful of guys who are cheap, and and they just kind of bring everybody together for that show. Those shows never draw very well.
Nope.
They are never very good, even though you have a high caliber of talent. And I think it's because you just bring these guys in, they just show up to make their 30, 40, 70 bucks, whatever, and then go on. There's no camaraderie, there's no energy there, there's nothing tying it together. What we had at New Midwest was a bunch of dudes a tight-knit group of guys that all loved this, and we fed each other and fed off of each other and pushed each other, and we were there training all the time because we had fun, and we were there, we were excited. We all found ways to pitch in because we loved doing it.
Yeah, there was passion there.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference. And on your other point to your other shows, that stuff never makes it mainstream. The stuff with your, look at all the Ring of Honor matches that are over and over. Great guys, great guys, great guys. I've seen 45-minute draws. I've seen hour-long draws. I mean, they're fantastic matches. But, like you said, I mean, part of wrestling isn't just the wrestling. It's the cool stories. It's the cool characters. Sometimes you got to do something in a storyline that doesn't make any sense and it's kind of a dud because 6 months later or 8 months later, it's going to cause that really big reaction like, oh my God, none of us saw that coming. That was crazy. And you don't have that anymore.
Right.
You just don't. I mean, it's just so, everything is so overdone. Everything is just so overcooked. Or it's just so microwaved. Yeah. I mean, nothing's drawn out. I mean, can you see anybody having a streak now?
Oh, no, never again.
I mean,
right.
It just, that whole thing crept up on all the wrestling fans from those generations. And it was so cool. And it's not real.
Yeah.
It's just a cool thing in a world that we involve ourselves in.
Yeah.
And
which makes it real.
Which makes it real.
Which makes it
cool. Makes it fun. It makes the Undertaker an icon. It makes Shawn Michaels an icon. And I think I'm not just talking about the local scene. I just think wrestling as a whole has lost that. It's just good. It's just so I can't even describe the way it makes me feel when I watch it now. It's just kind of like, what's going on? I don't have a philosophy because it's all gone crazy. I don't know. I was like, what? This is not wrestling. What is this? Right. Like I feel like I sound like Jim Cornette, who I agree with on a philosophical level. I agree with a lot of with what he says. I'm not a big fan of him politically, but I don't get into wrestling for politics.
Right.
But at the same time, though, the older I get, the more I sound like him, and I'm just like, he never says. He always goes too far, though, because there is something to be said about the comedic aspect of wrestling, and the other that he's so quick to shit on. Yeah, and I don't. I hate to. They're picked on everywhere else, but I hate to bring the Young Bucks up, but they're always brought up. And I don't watch a lot of their stuff, and I've never been fans of them. I always thought Kenny Omega was kind of goofy. But there are people that like them. There are people that buy tickets, and what they do isn't any more or less real than what anybody else does. It has a much different psychology, and no, I don't think it makes sense.
Yeah.
It takes me out of the match personally. I do not care for it. I do not like it. I can stand it once, sometimes on a card if it's real good.
Yeah.
But to just keep watching it and be fans of it, if Undertaker did the same stick for 30 years, he wouldn't have lasted as long as he did either. So, there's something to be said for that. But.
Well, and I think there's something, I think that's kind of a great place to, bring up in this discussion, because the one thing we can say, I don't like the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega or AEW much either, but the one thing you can say about the Young Bucks is they believe in what they do, and they've got a passion in what they do, and they've built themselves their own little. Even before AEW, they had built themselves their own little empire because they put what they needed into it.
Yep, they were already doing it their way on their terms.
Exactly.
So anything I say about them, they've made more money in wrestling than I have.
Right.
So whatever. It's not that, but to be fair, I don't think what they do is wrestling.
Right.
I just don't. Is it stunt show? Is it wrestling? Sure, if people want to call it that and buy tickets, that's great. I never thought I can't remember their names. I'm gonna botch their names because New Midwest used to hire them a lot after I stopped.
Zero Gravity.
Yeah, I never thought what Zero Gravity did was wrestling.
Yeah.
I just didn't.
A lot of flips and flying. Show.
It wasn't just the flips and flying. And again, I don't mean to criticize because those guys can do a lot that I can't do, or they could at the time. But I never found any of their stuff after the fact convincing. I remember they do this big move off the top rope, and they're already 30 minutes into the match, and again, I'm picking on them now because I can only remember their names at the point because a million other wrestlers have done this. But they did the big move, you know, and it's a 1-2, and the guy kicks out, and the guy's just, what do I got to do, you know? And it's like, I don't even believe that you're in peril at all. I don't believe you because you're not good.
Right.
You're just not convincing. That was a great backflip, but you don't suck me in any more than if I'm watching an action flick with Tom Arnold. I mean, what is Tom Arnold doing working his Hercules or working his Conan and the Barbarian? It just doesn't work, dude. Yeah. It just don't work. And you pretending like it does is insulting. As a fan.
Yeah.
As a wrestler, you're making your money, dude, whatever. Because it's all entertainment to me.
Right.
You know, there's people that can get online and get people to pay money to watch them light their balls on fire. I mean, so yeah, if you can get someone to watch you do a stunt show with a bunch of other guys in a ring, go ahead.
Yeah.
But I'm just speaking as a fan, I don't care for it. I like psychology. I like surprises. I like the drama of it. I like the push and the pull. You know, I like the smack talking. I like the guys to look mean. I like them to be. I like a smash mouth style wrestling. Yeah. I just do. And that can be brawling, that can be technical, that can be a lot of things, but I like smash mouth. And they're not smash mouth.
They're definitely not.
No,
definitely not.
They're just mouth. Which is fine.
Yeah.
Hey, Roddy Piper made a career out of it, so whatever, dude. Whatever. You know, not hating on you. You got more money than I got.
Well, I think you summed it up, Rob.
That's the problem with philosophy. It doesn't make any difference.
It doesn't make any difference.
Nope.
Well, it makes a difference personally.
It's real to me, man.
Well, you know, and the other thing is that the world's big enough for all of us.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? What our philosophy is and what we appreciate.
Jim Cornette.
I'm not sure the world's big enough for one Jim Cornette.
Nah,
but
I love me some Jim Cornette.
Yeah, I listen to him all the time.
This COVID thing has really pushed him off his rocker too.
But the world's big enough for all of us.
Yes.
And I think when you take a lot of things, any philosophy, right? The difference between like an actual like when you boil something down, a philosophy applies to, like, it's the foundation. And you can build the Young Bucks can build their style of wrestling on your foundation of, put your passion into it. If you suck, don't do it, know. I think, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so, and
I want to reiterate, because I remember how the internet is, so I'm just going to reiterate. If I've mentioned your name up to this point, and I've said something that you might not like, I'll just say that that's a reflection on you, not me, first of all. Because, second of all, I'm not going to think about you or remember your name after this. And I haven't up until this point.
Right.
Okay. I've already stated that you probably made more money in wrestling than I did. So I don't want to hear any flack from you.
I hope you end up in a Twitter feud with the Young Bucks. Do you have a Twitter?
No.
I'm gonna make a real
real
mystic Twitter, and I'm gonna just start posting.
If I had a Twitter with the Young Bucks and they actually looked me up at some point and Twittered me, I would have one tweet, and it would just be for their address. So I go stomp the shit out of both of them for thinking I was important enough to Twitter me after I said something about them on wrestling. But hey, like I said, them guys made more money than I did, so whatever. But it's just not wrestling to me. I'm speaking as a fan. I think
that's a great place to wrap this up because we got one more week. Rob, this has been a blast.
One more week.
Thank you for coming on.
That's all you're getting.
Thank you for coming on. But we got one more week. Next week, I like to bring it all the way around. We started with your whole career. We talked about how you learned about being a wrestler. We talked about today, how you feel about it, your philosophy on wrestling. But I just don't think we can get a full picture, a full appreciation for who we are as wrestlers without coming back to, always bringing it back to being a fan ourselves.
Nope.
So next week, we're going to be back, and you are going to give us your Dream Survivor Series team.
You warned me about this. So
yeah.
I'm going to enjoy this.
So hopefully you guys,
cool.
You guys will join us next week
cool.
For our last week with Rib Mystic. We will see you guys. I say next week. I need a better close. I got to work on a close. I say next week like 7 times.
But that's the thing though with wrestling. Everything's a lie.
everything is. Yeah, it's all a work.
So we'll expose.
This is a kayfabe.
We'll expose the business.
Don't kayfabe me here, bro.
More next week. Not in 5 minutes after I've taken a poop.